This is your daily dose of all things royal.
You know I used to live in Spain.
I know.
I spent more time in Argentina, funny enough. That's why I get embarrassed to speak Spanish in front of you, because I have such an Argentinian accent. But then you spend this time in Spain, and I ended up with that plus a lisp. From being impressed, you're like, hola, ¿de dónde sos? Y cuando llegaste? Gracias, 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 gracias.
Welcome back, my gorgeous, good-looking friends. I just couldn't sit through it. I tried watching the second half of Meghan's show, but it's so unbearable. More lies, the same fake persona, and honestly, painfully boring. We were drowned in PR hype over this ridiculous show, which, let's be clear, featured people who work for Meghan or unknown people who saw the opportunity for exposure. No genuine friends, no family, not even Harry this time around. Just staged interactions to keep this illusion alive, and I'm not alone in saying this. I've seen plenty of others online saying the same exact thing. Is Meghan gonna hype this as a success? Probably. As if we weren't already oversaturated with Meghan's face being shoved down our throats on a daily basis, she doubles down and churns out yet another glossy interview to push her version of the truth, her story, again. That's what I want to dig into and rip apart today in this video, because I think it's important to expose how blatantly she's trying to rewrite history over and over again by reinforcing her propaganda tactics. If she's hoping to exhaust people, think again, because all this is doing is ripping the scab off a nasty wound that she's trying to hide.
How important is it to own your own story?
It's the most important thing in the world.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like you own your own story?
I know I do.
Mm-hmm.
So here we are, Meghan Markle sitting down with Emily Chang, who I have absolutely no idea who she is. And let's be honest, we know that this is just another safe, PR-friendly pick. Meghan sits down with this woman in yet another attempt to rehabilitate her image and brand. Sure, Emily tosses out what sounds like tough questions, but let's not kid ourselves. This reeks of being carefully scripted. Meghan's deceit is written all over it, but for the audiences she's targeting, they may not realize how carefully they are being manipulated.
People think they know who you are. Your story has been told 1,000 ways, but I want to hear it from you. So when you were 11 years old, you protested an ad that you thought was sexist.
Of course, the damn dish soap commercial story again, and here Meghan spins another version of this story.
Tell me about that girl and how she grew up.
I had a great childhood. That time was really fascinating because that day that we were watching that commercial at school was also when the LA riots were happening. This contrast of the city was going on lockdown. We're very young and don't fully understand what's going on. It was a very tense time in Los Angeles with race relations. And they put on the TV because all of us kids had to stay there until our parents could come and pick us up.
So now this pathological liar changes this story from it being a class assignment into the TV was on to keep the kids occupied because it was the day of the LA riots. And then just randomly this commercial pops up and she, out of everybody, points out, look, guys, look at the injustice here. You know, considering there's so many inconsistencies with this story, not only between Meghan, but also with her family and how they tell it, we might as well assume that the story is a lie. I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm just saying that it didn't happen the way that not only Meghan is telling it, but also the Markles are telling it.
That is to say, that girl has been in you since the beginning.
Yes. I think our character, who we are at your core, I don't think that shifts. I think a lot of behaviors and habits and roles that you end up playing in your life can bring out the best or worst in a lot of people, but you're still who you are.
You know, Meghan's trying to be all profound and grounded, but in itself, what she's saying shows that she has no understanding of what the definition of character means. Character is not something that is rooted at your core. It's not something that's inherited. It's not part of your DNA. Character is mostly learned and chosen, and it can shift over the course of time. When you look at someone's character, it's generally understood as the set of moral, ethical, and psychological traits that define how they think, act, and treat others. So if Meghan is saying that her core character has not changed, then that means that she was always this lying, sniveling snake who only cares about money. You know, when you look at core values, when it talks about honesty, fairness, compassion, Meghan has none of that. When you look at her courage, she's a coward. When you look at her family values, look what she's done to the royal family. And I mean, if we're supposed to believe that the Markles are her family, look what she's done to them. Meghan learned how to lie from somewhere. Meghan learned how to harm and bully people from somewhere. Meghan was not born an asshole.
Is there an inherent tension in trying to be relatable while also being a duchess?
No, I don't find, I'm just being myself. So I think probably it was different several years ago.
So this woman bangs on again as if she was being held captive by the royal family and couldn't wear what she wanted or say what she wanted, but we all know that she did what she wanted and wore what she wanted. Nobody is believing this shit, Meghan.
Are true and you're able to show up in a space really organically and authentically. That's being comfortable in your own skin. And that's, of course, had different chapters in my life.
You know, it goes back to the question that was asked in the beginning. How important is it to own your own story? And Meghan responds, it's the most important thing in the world. No, Meghan, the most important thing in Meghan's world is controlling the narrative, even if it means lying again and again to get the story that you want people to believe or influence.
I think oftentimes the negative voices, are they saying negative things and then secretly going home and making single skillet spaghetti? Possibly.
No, Meghan, not everybody is greedy and fame hungry like you.
And that's all right. They're trying to pay their bills, and that's for them to sort out if they're comfortable doing it at someone else's detriment.
No, Meghan, it's called freedom of speech. If you're going to put something out into the public space, then expect the public to have the right to critique it. You don't get to put your shit out into the space and force it down our throats and we have to take it.
Meghan wouldn't share sales figures for As Ever, but so far, most of its inventory has quickly sold out.
As Ever is also cooking. Just had another launch.
Yes.
The rosé sold out also in less than an hour.
44 minutes. I was shocked.
How do you keep up with demand?
Meghan's so-called facade of a business, As Ever, whatever, is framed here as some kind of runaway success, talking about how her product sold out in 44 minutes, but anyone with common sense knows that quote-unquote sold out in what we've witnessed means nothing in celebrity marketing. Artificial scarcity and PR hype are classic tricks to manufacture the illusion of demand, and that's what Meghan's doing here. If this brand weren't attached to her name, who's married to a royal, and Netflix's money, no one would believe for a second that her stinky little jar of jam and some flour sprinkles justified the circus of media coverage. None. It reeks right now of vanity branding, overstaffed productions, and Meghan inflating her numbers. Nothing about this feels organic, despite Meghan's endless insistence on being authentic and truthful.
And suddenly the conversation goes from at the start of this year talking about a few thousand jars and lids to we need to do a purchase order of 1 million.
Nobody believes that, Meghan. Your nose is growing. Let's not kid ourselves. This is all stupid PR. There's a reason why Meghan won't share her sales numbers. It's because it's not going to match what she's telling us here. Meghan could have easily have said that they needed to order 10 million jars. It means nothing until we see the numbers. And until then, you cannot gauge or say that this business is so-called successful. What's the profit, Meghan?
So between the show and As Ever, the podcast,
It's been a busy year.
It's been a busy year. You were off social media for years and now you're back on. Do you feel like you're sort of launching a new you or rebranding yourself?
No, I think, how funny, no. I think I finally get to share the me that's been here for so long that people maybe haven't had the same visibility to.
I really can't with this woman. Seriously, how many times is Meghan going to tell us that we're going to get to see a side of her that we've never seen before? How many personalities do you have, Meghan? She desperately wants us now to see her as this entrepreneurial visionary like Rihanna or Gwyneth Paltrow. But the reality is her brand is propped up by Netflix and by this royal title and by the relentless PR spin that she keeps using. Without those crutches, she's just another ex-actress peddling overpriced lifestyle trinkets that nobody wants.
But you put that out there and some people, like, they tear it apart, you
I'm
know?
sure they did. I don't know.
Oh, come on, Meghan. You know that you see the tabloids. You know that you scroll all day long looking to see what people are saying. Don't say that you don't know. You know.
But I also protect myself from seeing that.
It's been interesting preparing for this interview because every day you search for your name and there's like 1,000 different news stories about 1,000 different things.
Yes.
And this is the manipulation that I'm talking about. Many people who don't follow this on a regular could look at this and Meghan sitting there shaking her head like, yeah, I know. As if she has nothing to do with the fact that the media is saturated with her garbage, right? On a daily basis, I'm sure her PR team pushes out 4 or 5 stories a day just to keep her name in headlines. Don't act like you don't know why and how it's happening. You're partially responsible for it. And I wish that there were more media outlets calling this out. They're equally as complicit in going along with this propaganda. Now, listen closely to what Meghan says next.
And so,
But I guess the distinction there is those people don't know me and they're not talking about me. And that's a really hard place to come to terms with. Yeah. But that's the truth. So if you can really compartmentalize it and go.
Now, if you've been following me for a while, then you probably have seen the videos that I did in the Biggest Fraud Alive series, in which I fell down this rabbit hole last year, coming out looking at this whole saga completely different, in which I've come to the conclusion that whoever this woman we're calling Meghan Markle is really a construct. So when she says people don't know me and they're not talking about me, right? And she goes into saying you have to compartmentalize that, then this goes along to support the theory that I have. Because if you are telling people that people don't know the truth and then you're blaming the media for creating clickbait, but you're not taking any kind of accountability for your own clickbait that you're putting out, as well as your own words and your own interviews and things that are contradicted by your own self, then what other explanation could there be? Either you are mentally unstable or you truly are playing a role here that you're trying to get out of. And it's my belief that it's the latter.
Oh, right. There is a very, very powerful machine. And it's all about generating income. Mm-hmm. Those stories aren't just appearing because it's fun. Clickbait has a huge financial implication.
We talk about how Meghan and Harry are running out of money. How much you want to bet that Meghan has made millions off of all this clickbait that's being put out there? Meghan understands how the search engine optimization, or SEO, works very well, and she talks about it here.
And so if I'm part of an SEO and that gets them more clickbait, then yes, they're incentivized to churn out as many stories, false or damaging or whatnot.
Even though that we know that Harry and Meghan threaten to sue for every little thing, they've never once challenged anyone who called out these pregnancies. Why do you think that is, folks? Give me your thoughts below.
To feed the beast, because that's paying them. And I think a lot of people forget the economic element of it.
Keep in mind, this greedy little goblin always talked about the monetization aspect of it. Never mind her picture being out there. It was always about other people monetizing off of whatever it is that she put out there into the public domain, unless it was complimentary of her. She hates the fact that people are making money off of challenging and criticizing her. Well, too effing bad. This is America, bitch.
And I think from my standpoint, that's why I don't look at it. It would be very hard to see anything about yourself that isn't true. But equally, it's not me that they're talking about. It's some caricature they've had to create to get clicks.
Then why are you giving it to them if it's not true? Quit jerking the public around with your BS. Everybody is exhausted from it.
But yeah, we go out a lot in our community, in Montecito and in Santa Barbara, and people are just really friendly.
Are there any tricks to being incognito?
No, we're not trying to be incognito.
Okay.
So why do you need all the security, Meghan, if nobody cares who you are? I mean, you're walking around, going out, and you don't need to be incognito and everything is fine. What happened to all the paparazzi?
I was talking with Melinda French Gates about how we're living in such a charged time right now, and sometimes it feels like no one is speaking up, and that, you know, people aren't using their voices because it's scary to speak up. And she said, I don't think the voices are gone. They're just quietly strategizing.
The quiet part of the song is still part of the song.
In that moment right there, you know that she is behind the scenes scheming.
Are you using AI?
Last week someone talked about ChatGPT, which of course everyone's talking about ChatGPT. I hadn't experienced it before.
Meghan Markle, you're lying again. We all know that you use AI technology with a lot of things, such as all those videos that you want us to believe you and your husband put together, like this one, and this one, as well as this one. And let's not go into all the childhood videos that use CGI, deepfake technology. So don't lie with your BS that you don't use AI technology. You know you do.
I'm shocked. I'm a little bit vintage in many ways because I'm from a time capsule of handwritten notes and putting a stamp. So you're very mindful about how you spend. But I grew up clipping coupons. I grew up looking for deals and the sale rack.
Ah, the relatable Meghan. The most insulting act of all. The endless humble bragging, growing up, clipping coupons, learning about financial literacy through frozen yogurt jobs. But in reality, this woman is now insulated by multi-million-dollar deals, well, used to be, a Montecito mansion, and armies of staff to help her raise those two invisible children. No one believes she's just like us, and her clumsy attempts to say so only highlight this disconnect. It's insulting.
And I think it's incredibly important for young women, especially, to have a sense of why it matters for her to earn her own money and to be able to be financially independent. That's not about anything other than being self-reliant. And the more that you're able to take care of yourself, especially as a woman, then you're making practical choices in your life that are not hindered by a need being met by someone external.
The whole feminism thing is overrated. Here Meghan is virtue signaling, being that women's champion to encourage women to be out in the workforce, to be financially independent, while she is riding off the back of her husband's money. I mean, nobody can argue that the reason why she's where she is today is because of Harry. I don't know, to me, I think the whole feminist movement is a complete scam. Selling women on going out there and being empowered to earn their own money. There's nothing wrong with that. However, it should not be something that you choose over if you want to have a family. And this is something that Meghan does not advocate for.
But equally, they have the same great community that we do.
Is there anything you want for your kids that's different than what you and Harry have had? Like, especially when it comes to family.
Oh, yeah. I want them to have the fullness of life and family and support in a way that we have had and that we do have in many ways. And also, I want them to be able to carve out the life that they want for themselves. And that will very much be not necessarily mimicking, but that'll be very much reflective of the choices my husband and I have made.
How can Meghan sit there and say this with a straight face? She waxes poetic about raising her children with values and support. Yet, if we're to believe what has been put out into the media, she shredded her own family ties beyond repair. Her father, who supposedly raised her, has been publicly humiliated and thrown away. Not even nearly every relative is estranged. Like, where's Doria? Harry, under her influence, is severed from his family, and we're supposed to believe this woman embodies family, loyalty, and truth. It's sad to say, if there are indeed these children, they're going to be so messed up.
If you could choose one thing for people to know the truth about you, what would that one thing be?
No one's ever asked me that. What a great question. The one thing. Oh, gosh. What's the one thing? Oh, gosh.
Isn't this funny, the amount of time she's taking to answer this question?
I think when I sit with it for a second here, I just want people to know that I'm a real person.
It tells you that everything she's been telling us has been a lie. She could have easily have squashed the rumors about the children and the surrogacy and her pregnancy. She could have easily have said, I gave birth to Archie and little Betty. Instead, she takes all this time to come up with this stupid answer that she's a real person. It's almost saying, please don't be mean to me. It hurts. But because she's a real person, well, stop lying. I mean, seriously, how many more of these is she going to torture the public with? How many more, Meghan? How many more iterations of your truth? The bottom line here is that this interview isn't insight into who Meghan really is. It's another layer of this con. She cloaks herself in buzzwords like authenticity and values and truth, but everything she says collapses under the weight of her past actions. She talks about humanity while destroying her family. She talks about relatability while flaunting her wealth. She talks about business success while hiding behind manufactured hype. Meghan Markle is not authentic, she's not relatable, and she's certainly not trustworthy. She is, as always, as ever, a fraud selling a narrative. And the saddest part is she still thinks the world is gullible enough to buy it. Well, I'm not buying it, and quite frankly, I'm just bored with it. Like, this in itself was painful to get through. But I took one for the team, and you can all see that this woman is such a fraud. Anyhow, what do you guys think? Definitely let me know your thoughts below. As always, I will be back with more content, but until then, please be safe, and I'll talk to you later. Bye!
Such a fraud.